if you are trying to, catch the best performing stock or the best performing mutual fund, trying to win that game on a short term basis all the time, you will probably lose out on that bigger game that you want to achieve, right? Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channel, The Mutual Fund Guys, where we only speak about mutual funds. I'm Samir, and with me is Mahesh. And Mahesh and I are partners with AMS Investments, which is a mutual fund distributor based out of Mumbai. And we help people invest in mutual funds. So today's video is the more interesting video for both Mahesh and me. And they are investing lessons from iconic movies. So what
that is interesting.
what can we learn from these movies? These are some of our favorite movies, I think, Mahesh. We have grown up watching these movies. Most of these movies, Mahesh, obviously when you were young, you liked them for the actor, or the direction, or the songs, the music. As you get a bit older and hopefully wiser, you start to realize that there are some really interesting life lessons from these movies. And for us, there are also very interesting investing lessons from them as well.
True.
And today's movie is going to be about investing lessons from my favorite movie of all time, Rocky, and which is Sylvester Stallone's iconic series. So there was Rocky, then there was and after Rocky, then there was Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4. And all those movies were just phenomenal, right? Rocky and then Rocky 2 and 3 and 4 are by far the best movie. One of the best movies I have watched till date. Just to give a bit of background, that movie was actually, had it not been because of Sylvester Stallone's persistence, right? I mean, he wrote the screenplay, Mahesh, of that movie in 3 days. 3 days flat. The first movie, Rocky. And then he went around to all these major Bollywood producers to do the movie, and they all loved the script, but they didn't want Sylvester Stallone to be in that movie. And he had said, look, this movie will not be made unless I'm not as the main lead, right?
Yeah, I want to play the lead.
Yeah. And look at Sylvester Stallone, right? I mean, he had no money in his pocket. The guy had to sell his dog, apparently, to fund for the movie, right? He had no money in his bank account. He was adamant that he has to be in the lead, and he threatened producers that he will bury the script if
For
the
a
movie
decent sum of money. Yeah.
Yeah. And for a decent sum of money, I mean, he could have said, look, I can take this money, make another movie. I mean, write another movie. At least it'll tie me over for a few days or a few years, right? Because, when you're hand to mouth, you're desperate. But I think this in itself is an investing lesson, right? I mean, you have to risk something in the current moment for something hopefully fruitful in the future, right? I mean, I'm sure that he was sure that this movie would do well, but the kind of scale it reached, I don't think so he would have even imagined, right? But I think he stuck to his guns. That itself was a very important lesson. But again, I want to keep talking about the movie, but what I found amazing also was that the movie was made under $1 million. I mean, around $1 million, which is a lot of money back then in the 1976. And in the first year, Mahesh, he clocked 150 million in revenues in the United States alone. And he went on making 225 globally. So $225 million return on investment. It was such an iconic movie that it shaped, for me, a big part of my childhood, right? I think it gave me a reason to be healthy also, work out, try and sort of, keep the faith, those kind of small lessons that movie taught us at that age. Look into the movie, you will find also very compelling investing lessons from that movie, and I want to talk about these three prominent lessons that I gauged from that movie, right? So the first one was, Mahesh, that winning is not everything. So if you look at the first movie, Rocky gets a shot to fight against the #1 champion in the world, right? And he is very clear that the goal here is not to win. I mean, it would be very hard for him to win because Apollo Creed, who is the world champion, is a seasoned boxer, is a world champion,
a professional,
profession. And Rocky is a sort of a small time, boxer. He's actually a henchman. He actually collects money as a loan shark, right? So he's got that rough and tough look, but he probably was not, a professional boxer like Apollo Creed was. So for him, winning was not even on his mind. All he had to do is stick in that ring for 15 rounds and just stick around, because he knew if he stuck around for those 15 rounds, he had some shot at a career in
Right.
boxing. He probably had some opportunity in that match to knock Apollo Creed out, right? But he knew that that would not last too long for him, right? So he thought that, look, if I stuck around for 15 rounds, took all the punches this guy gave me, and still held my ground, people will look up and say, look, there is somebody out there who has a shot at this title or this career as a boxer, right? So for me, that was very important. So in investing, Mahesh, the way I think of it, you don't have to win every year. You don't have to win over your neighbor. You don't have to win over your friend, your peers, right? This is not a winning game that you have to indulge in. You have to stick around for 10, 15, 20 years, hopefully, to be able to win the bigger game, okay, which is try and change your future for the better and make a sort of establish a financial future for yourself and your family, right? So if you are trying to, catch the best performing stock or the best performing mutual fund, trying to win that game on a short term basis all the time, you will probably lose out on that bigger game that you want to achieve, right? Consistently be invested and be invested for long periods of time. I mean, that is what we keep preaching on
Yeah.
this show, right?
Yeah. Basically, you're saying that the first lesson you see in this is that you need to be standing at the end of it all, right?
Yes.
You have to be there. You have to be in the game. The whole goal of this investing is to remain in the game for the long time. Like
Correct.
Rocky remained standing for 15 rounds,
15
right,
rounds.
in that fight with Apollo Creed. And that was the key lesson that we got from Rocky 1.
That was for me a key lesson. I mean, it of course in the subsequent movies it's all about winning, winning, winning. But that's not the point that the first movie established. The first movie established that in order to start to begin your path towards success, don't think of winning as the first step. Okay, the first step is to sort of stick around,
Yeah,
not to be part of that game.
correct.
Okay, in order to win in the end, right? But for now, you need to just keep sticking around. The second lesson for me, Mahesh, and which is more sort of something that now I relate to even more, is to find a mentor, to find a teacher, right? So Rocky Balboa would not be Rocky Balboa if it wasn't for Mickey. Okay,
Yeah,
was his
the
coach.
coach, yeah, his coach.
He was his coach. He was his mentor, and he was the only guy in that entire movie. I mean, his wife also was, but besides his wife, it was Mickey who guided him to be on the right path. But my point is that, find that mentor in your life or that coach in your life, okay? And especially in your investing world, right? You find that either it's your advisor or your mutual fund distributor who keeps you who keeps you on that path for a long period of time. You don't want to be guided by someone who keeps changing that path all the time. Like, do this, do that, change this, change that. We personally don't do that. We like to have investors remain invested for long periods of time, unless there's something very dramatic. But we believe in that long-term story, right? So I believe that having that mentor or the teacher to keep you guarded and push you through the end is very, very important. So now the third one, my third lesson and the final lesson that I learned from Rocky is that, and it's iconic dialogue from the movie, right? It ain't how hard you hit, it's about how hard you get hit and keep moving forward.
Yeah,
Okay. I think this is not only applicable to investing, but is also applicable to life, right?
life in general, yeah.
Life in general. So in my opinion, the way I think of it is that if you're in this investing journey, okay, you're going to get hit a lot of times. Every single year, there'll be something out there which will hit you, right? There could be a COVID issue, there could be a terror attack, there could be, the interest rates, going up. There are so many hits that you get on your face, literally, right? That you have to sometimes. All you need to do is get up and keep moving forward, like Rocky did in those 15 rounds. He got hit over and over again by Apollo Creed, but he just stood there and stood there and stood there. So in the long term of 10, 15 years, you will get many hits. You will get hit very hard, but you have to sort of bear those periods of getting hit, just chug along. And I think that is what makes investing, simple, but not easy.
Yeah.
It's very hard to sort of get up every time when you take a big knock. I mean, I can relate to investors who in 2000 lost 80% of their net worth within a few months. And it took almost a few years for it to come back up again. If you are able to, if you can cope up with taking those hits, okay, as you get older and wiser, you will be able to see how much of a benefit it brings to you and your life and your investments in the long run. Yeah.
And these are all the things that you still remember. I mean, about the movie, right? And I remember one iconic dialogue in the first Rocky series, the Rocky movie, and he's fighting with Creed, and Creed is hitting him regularly, and then he falls, and then Mickey comes to him and says, "Come on, Rocky, finish him," right? And then Rocky says, "Mickey, if I could, I would." I'm doing the best. I can't do anything more than this, right?
Yes,
so he's very clear, and there are a couple of lessons in this that you do the best you can. When Rocky says, "If I could, I would," what he's saying is that I'm doing the best I can. And if you can really say that about yourself, then that dialogue makes sense, that I'm doing the best I can. If I could, I would, right? Then, so that's what you learn from that movie also, that you try and do the best you can, both in terms of your investments or in terms of anything else that you do in your life. And again, the line that, why do I box? Because I can't sing or dance, actually tells you, focus on what you're doing, what you're good at.
Good at,
right? And then if that is what you're good at, then try to be the best you can in that, and then continue to do that, and don't try and diversify into various other activities just because that's the thing that you like. That's the thing, that's the latest fad, or that's the latest thing that is happening. So these are life lessons, right? Focus on what you do well. And then we will connect it to investments by saying that, let the mentor like Mickey like mentor help you with what you have to do in your investments, and then stick to the path. Or we will also say that in terms of investments, just leave it to us, and then we will handle that for you, something like that, right? So this is,
and you're right. It's what you mentioned, that if you're good at something, stick to it. And you'll see, we have met so many people in the recent that who are long-term investors, who have been a long-term investors for many years, but now want to get into F&O and trading and stuff. We keep telling people, you have the ingredients of being a good long-term investor.
You've
shown the path of 10, 12 years you've been doing this, right? So, and you've made so much money in those years, right? So why do you want to deviate and get into this an area which is not your expertise or not your your wheelhouse? So I totally agree with that. Focus on what you're good at and stick to it, and hopefully find a good advisor or a good distributor to help you tread that path for a long period of time. And we hope that we could be one of your advisors, or sorry, not advisor, but your mutual fund distributor, to guide you, to help you with that journey. So thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, please write to us at hello@amsinvestments.net, and we'll be more than happy to answer any queries you have. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.